Hi, Promised Land parents. We're so glad you're able to join us for this particular recording. Today, we're going to discuss the same 3 questions we've discussed with other groups, but today we have some representatives from the class at Willow called Moms with Teens. Now, you might be wondering, why do you have Moms with Teens on for a Promised Land video? And there are many reasons. One of the reasons is that these parents that you see before you have all been Promised Land parents, so they know where you've been and they understand it. Also, these women have kids that are in their teens, but they're lower teens. So they're very close to where you guys are, especially if you have a 5th grader or a 4th grader in Promised Land. And finally, the Moms with Teens class is a great place to get wisdom. Even if you don't have teenagers yet, it's a great place to learn and prepare for what you're about to enter. So I'm so glad you guys have been willing to take the time to join me today. Kathy, Greg, I want to introduce you first. You're one of the leaders of Moms with Teens. Can you tell us, first of all, who are you sheltering in place with, maybe ages of your kids, and then a little bit about the class?
My husband, Rich, and I are at home with our, bless you, 17-year-old 17-year-old junior Elijah, and our 14-year-old Emily, who's a freshman in high school, and our 6th grader Elizabeth, who is 12 years old. And I started joining into Moms with Teens when my son was 12. So our class is for moms of tweens, teens, and emerging adults, because the research says that adolescence can start as early as 9 and it lasts until at least age 25 or 26. And we're just moms in the midst of the journey together. Whether our teens are struggling or succeeding, we come together for a refuge, encouragement. We have a space for learning. We have large group and small group, and we have teachers who could be moms teaching from experience. We have counselors, we have crisis counselors. We've had the authors of our books video chat in with us. So it's just a range of opportunity to learn more about who we are as moms, who God made us to be, and what our teens are experiencing and how we can meet them where we're at. And then we come together in small group to look at that more closely in our own lives and create community together there. So.
I love the words you used, and I'm not sure I remember them correctly. Did you say whether you're struggling or succeeding? What were those?
Yeah, come as you are. It's all about come as you are.
It's really so great. I love safe spaces where we can be who we are. So I have several friends in the class, and I cannot tell you enough good things about it. I've heard those women who are in that class get so much out of it. So thanks, Kathy, for leading it. And thanks for inviting 2 of your classmates to join us today. Alex, can you let us know who you're sheltering in place with today?
Yes, my husband, Greg, and I have a 18-year-old daughter, Alyssa, 16-year-old daughter, Bella, and a 13-year-old son, Eli.
Okay, and I forgot to ask, any pets? Because pets always make more exciting.
Yes, I have.
Alex, what do you have?
I have a chocolate lab that is almost 9 years old at the end of this month.
Okay, and Kathy, you were nodding your head too?
Oh, we have 2 cats that are about a year. We have a ball python, 2 garter snakes, and a crested gecko. Yeah, some fuzzy and some scaly.
Okay, mom of the year right there. All right, and Barb, tell us who you're sheltering in place with.
Yeah, hi, I got a picture actually. I am sheltering in place with my husband, Jeff, my son, Josh, who is a senior in high school, and my daughter, Lissa, who is a junior in high school.
Great. Glad you guys are here today. Again, for those listening, our goal is to answer 3 questions about what we're going through right now in the midst of the pandemic. And in doing so, hoping that you will feel less alone, maybe more seen and more understood. I think a lot of us are surrounded by so many people and so many pets and so many tasks, and yet it's really easy to start feeling lonely in the midst of all of that. So we hope that you will feel less alone today as you listen to our answers to 3 questions. The first question is, what is the biggest challenge you're facing right now in this season of sheltering in place? Alex, would you mind starting us off?
Absolutely. I would say right now I'm at peace, but I would say that the last 2 weeks of March, I felt a lot of emotions all at once, just from leaving a grocery store, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I was in disbelief. I felt desperation. I felt uncertainty. I felt sadness, and it just realized, oh my gosh, in the evenings, I started getting all of this anxiety starting to build up. And for so long, I controlled where I shopped, when I shopped, and how much I needed for my family. And I realized that I couldn't do that anymore. And also added to that, I'm an extrovert. So not being able to be with my friends was a real struggle.
Absolutely. I've heard enough about the grocery store situation. Do you think I want to do an entire session just about the grocery store? Because I think a lot of us are surprised, and named your emotions so well. A lot of us are surprised at the feelings that come up just by going to the grocery store, and that makes us even more aware of how challenging things are. So thanks for being able to identify with yourself so well and name that for us. Barb, what about you? What's your biggest challenge right now?
Actually, for me, it's been eating, just wanting to eat and wanting to cook and wanting to bake, and eating out of boredom and eating, just constantly. My husband also likes to cook. So between the two of us, it's like, oh, what are we making now? What should we make now? We want to do something, have an activity. So it's just that something to keep us from just sitting and watching TV,
Yeah. So have you found that to be a comfort for you, or has it been a challenge in some ways?
Oh, it's a comfort and it's fun and we enjoy it a lot. And, even just the time it takes to cook, the time it takes to clean up is an activity. So it does take time, which is good. It's just, limiting how much you actually eat.
That's what I thought when you answered was, I'm aware of how much more I want to eat for comfort. And the challenge for me is saying no, cutting myself off. Yeah, I won't go more into that. You can email me later if you want the details. Kathy, what about you? What's the biggest challenge you have right now?
Well, I can totally relate to both of what they said, but for me, it's navigating just about every day the needs and the temperaments and the triggers that come up for me and my family members, and my reactions when I should be responding or when I want to respond instead of reacting, because not having space to really go anywhere without people being, I'm in my room, but everybody's still around. It's hard to process sometimes, to have the space or make the space to process, and then to address the conflict. There's just so many moving parts with 5 people here, and my parents live 5 minutes away, so I'm trying to take care of them and checking in with them every day. So I'm feeling the responsibility of having to take care of everyone, and sometimes I can get triggered by that, or they can as well, and wanting to navigate that in a healthy way, which don't always do. Or so if there's conflict, going back to that and how to redirect it or process it together. So
I think that navigating is so tough, and I appreciate that you said that sometimes we don't handle it well, and sometimes we do. And I'm wondering, Kathy, as we've been home longer and longer, I think it's been just over a month now, are you seeing yourself learning to navigate it better? Any thoughts on the changes that have been happening since we started this whole process?
a little, I think a little bit, because as we're seeing how we're struggling, I'm knowing how to check in with each of my kids differently, where like one is struggling more on one day with not being able to go outside and play hoops with a buddy. Like, why can't I, if we each have our own basketball? Or my daughter with, like, she's not understanding something at school, and it's, she can't really get a direct answer from a teacher as easily. And so just knowing where each of their, like I said, knowing their temperaments and how to come to them individually. Or my youngest daughter, she would sit and play math computer games all day, which is great, it's math, but like, what else can I do to try to get her engaged other than her wanting to just sit and do that? So trying to meet them where they're at, and also giving myself grace. And my husband too, because it's hard. Or my parents even, like my kids said, yeah, Papa went to go to Jewel the other day, and I'm supposed to be shopping for them. So I called him last night and said, hey, I heard you went to Jewel. And he said, he said it was the drive-through. I had to get a prescription. I'm like, okay. He said, were you coming to yell at me? And he said, no, just I want to do that for you. I just want to make sure you're making good choices.
Yeah.
So trying to meet everybody where they're at and with grace and curiosity, asking questions instead of coming out accusatory which is hard. It's hard. It's wanting to, like Alex said, wanting to control, what's happening. And sometimes that's about me. It's not about them.
Yeah. You've really explained a lot of the ways that we're having to navigate through things. And it does bring up our second question, which is, how are you taking care of yourself in this season? I'm going to jump to Barb to start us off with this one, because we know it's important, but sometimes it's hard to do that. Barb, how are you, or are you doing that in this season?
Yeah, I'm, trying to do the best I can. I start out my day, in a quiet room by myself with my Bible, or with my journey study guide, and just try to spend some time doing that. And also, I'm just a very visual person. So having things like having the bed made, at the table nice for meals, so that it just like those little visual things just really help me, because when things are a mess visually for me, I tend to be more of a mess, and I tend to spiral downward. And even just little things like when I take a shower, I've been using up all the little shampoos and conditioners that you get from hotels. So all these little different smells and things like that, and I smell different on different days, which is kind of...
It's the little things. I think you're absolutely right. That's the ways to take care of yourself. Kathy, one thing that you have found that's been helpful for you?
Oh, like I alluded to, I need to get headspace. Like I need space to be able to process. And so whatever that needs to look like, putting on worship music in my headphones helps a lot. Going for a walk by myself, texting a friend an SOS prayer, or getting feedback, just saying, hey, I need you to help me get myself centered here. So just trying to figure out how to take my thoughts captive and refocus. So.
Great. Good. Those are great. Alex, what's one way you're caring for yourself in this season?
For me, every day is different. I'm either deciding to wake up to go for a 5-mile walk with my dog, or I'll decide the next day, because it's snowing perhaps, it's going to be a workout inside. And if I'm not doing that, I have a group of friends that we're doing a Bible study for Daniel by Beth Moore. And that's been helping me as an extrovert be able to connect with my friends virtually to accomplish that. And just really just spending that uninterrupted time to be in God's Word has been really helpful to me, as well as surrounding myself, with worship music. But like I said, every day is so different for me. Yeah.
That's a great point. I think every day is going to be different, and that flexibility is important, that willingness to adjust last minute. We have a couple minutes left, so let's answer the last question. What is one thing that you're doing this season that is making things easier for you or your family? Kathy, we'll start with you on that question.
So I have been waking my kids up, my older two, waking them up, because I like to go in and see them sleeping and remember that they have a sweet side. And I make all three kids breakfast smoothies, like yogurt fruit smoothies, to give them an easy transition into their day, because if I can help them start, I have empathy for them with what they're going through. It's hard. So if I can give them something that to ease into their day, that tastes good, that makes, it's nutritious, that they can just be in their space and not have to think about breakfast, it just starts the day off a little bit lighter.
Now, they may not actually have thanked you for it, but do you see it's making a difference? Can you tell that it's helping?
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes I come in and I do a little dance, or I'll put on a funky song, or the Beatles, or VeggieTale. Like I try to be really goofy about it, because even though they're teenagers, they still get a kick out of it. So I send them really bizarre Snapchat pictures. So like, here comes your breakfast, I try to have fun in ways that can connect with them on their level. And because if we have to be able to laugh, laughter is such a good medicine, and being able to lighten their load in a small way makes a big difference. Like we were saying, little things,
Yeah. I want you to wake me up sometime soon, Kathy.
You might not like my song choice.
Oh, I will love it no matter what, because I need to laugh too.
Okay.
Alex, how about you? If you have one thing that's working right now?
Because I have a house full of teens, I had to be very flexible with my kids' bedtimes and their wake up times a lot later. And
Yes.
so breakfast became brunch, and I've had to adapt to that and not kind of be so strict on them, because it's an adjustment for them as well. Their e-learning, they've had difficulty with it. So being flexible with their schedule has been helpful, and using the evenings to play games with them again, like flashlight tag in the dark, and just like random things that we could all do as a family. Everybody takes turns, and we've used the opportunity of the evenings at dinner to do the journey study. So we've allowed everybody to have an opportunity to pick something they enjoy.
Wow. And they're making great memories. They probably don't even realize it, but they're going to positive things from this crazy time. Barb, how about you? What's one thing?
One thing I've really been working on is truly living the word giving grace. We all talk about, give extra grace to people, give grace for this, give yourself grace if you're not, succeeding. And, we're all struggling with a lot of things and a lot of emotions. And from day to day, it changes. And so I've just been trying to extend grace, not just to my family, my kids, some days they don't want to wake up first thing and do their schooling, and just to kind of give them some grace too. They're struggling. I have a senior in high school. He's struggling with the loss of all of the senior fun things, prom and graduation parties and seeing friends. And so just to kind of give them that space, and not say, oh, it's fine. It's, we'll just keep moving on, or it will be better. And even grace when out and about, with people. Different people feel very differently about what's going on. Even in my family, I have, one family member who's not leaving the house for anything at all and does not allow anyone even close to their house. And I have another family member who is more nonchalant about it. So just balancing that and giving grace to both of them on both ends.
I think giving grace is kind of a hard concept to grasp sometimes, but the way you explained it, it sounds like it's almost like giving people space to be who they are and to respond how they're going to respond, and purposefully not judging them in it, just letting them be, giving them space to be themselves. That's a beautiful thing. Well, ladies, I am so grateful that you guys took the time to join us today. I hear the wisdom from moms who are a little bit ahead of some of the Promised Land moms, and I really appreciate it. I want to let our Promised Land parents know that Moms with Teens is a class that's available to you. They're wrapping up their spring semester, but they will be back again in the fall. And so if you have any questions about joining the class, or even about the resources they've used, I know that I have a friend in the class, and she has guided me many times with issues that I'm having by saying, oh, this book that we're reading in Moms with Teens, I learned this. So if you want to learn more about the class or more about the resources that they have used, I will go ahead and put up a link to the webpage, the Willow webpage, that has Kathy's email address on it. And you can email her for with any questions or to get any more information. And Promised Land parents, I want to once again recognize that you are doing the good work. As we've sat here talking, I'm staring out my back window, and the weather has turned from light snow to very heavy snow to the sun shining, and now it looks like it's getting cloudy again. And I think it's just an illustration for our lives as parents. We have to be so flexible to adapt with the changes in the moment as they come, like the weather. Every 5 minutes, we're getting a new thing. So parents, we see you. We're grateful for the way that you keep loving your kids, and we hope to see you back here soon. Thanks.